I will make a new covenant in those days. I will write the law on their hearts. Yeah, the new covenant! Record it! The law is done away with! Yeah! Are you kidding me?
Shadows start to fade as the truth comes in sight. On the fourth day, he said, let there be light. Let there be light.
I explained it earlier. If you have a covenant or if with someone and it's broken, it's broken. You have to make a new one. You can't.
Okay guys, so welcome back to the channel. Today you can see that we have a lot to talk about. This new covenant that Christians believe is coming to existence. Is this the same thing that they're believing it is? Is it something different? We're going to take a look at a couple of clips from Jeff Morgan out of Jews for Jesus in his YouTube channel, So Be It. And we're going to see what he says when he's discussing these types of things with a Jewish man in Israel. And we're going to dissect it. But if you're watching this channel, you probably are well aware about what the new covenant or the understanding of what that new covenant is. All right, so Christians believe that this new covenant is what Jesus came to give, which is something where he dies for your sins. Everybody has vicarious atonement. You get righteousness through him, and that the old covenant is done away with. But is this true? So we have to take a look at the original text and see what it says. All right, so let's start there. So I'm going to put on the screen Jeremiah chapter 31. All right, so I'm going to start on verse 30 because people normally don't start at this verse, but I want you to see this for a reason. It says, "For everyone shall die for his own iniquity. Every man that eateth the sour grape, his teeth shall be set on edge. Behold, the days come, saith Jehovah, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah, not according to the covenant I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, which my covenant they break, although I was a husband unto them, saith Jehovah. But this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel. After those days, saith Jehovah, I will put my law in their inward parts, and write it on their hearts, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people. And they shall teach no more every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, Know Jehovah. So they shall all know me. From the least of them unto the greatest of them, saith Jehovah, for I will forgive their iniquity, I will remember their sin no more." All right, so you're probably well aware of this text here. But I want you to understand something. The reason why people believe that the new covenant is something brand new or the old one is done away with, I mean, how often do you hear Christians say the law is done away with, right? It's because of their understanding from the book of Hebrews. The book of Hebrews will quote this, but they will reframe it, all right? I'm going to show you what they do. So take a look at Hebrews and look at chapter 8, all right? It says, For if that first covenant had been faultless, there should no place have been sought for the second. So again, Hebrews is framing this and saying, hey, we got to get rid of this first covenant because this one's done away with. We got to get a new one. There's a fault found within it. All right. For finding fault with them, he saith, Behold, the days come, saith Jehovah, well, I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah. So he just quotes Jeremiah chapter 31. So jump down to verse 13, and this is how they frame it. It says, In that he saith, A new covenant he hath made the first old. Now that which decayeth and waxeth old is ready to vanish away. All right, so again, they're framing this and saying that this is a brand new covenant, something totally different. The old one, it's old, it decayed, we got to get a new one. All right, and this is what Jeff Morgan was even stating to this man you saw at the beginning of the video, where he's saying, look, if there's a broken covenant, you got to make a new one. All right, but is this the case? We want to take a look at what God says himself. All right, so God says himself that he will never break his covenant. All right, look at Judges chapter 2, verse 1. I will never break my covenant with you. Deuteronomy chapter 7, it says, Know therefore that Jehovah thy God is thy God, the faithful God, which keepeth the covenant and mercy that love him, and keep his commandments to 1,000 generations. This is a phrase that is commonly quoted throughout the rest of the Hebrew scriptures, because this is a fundamental principle, that his covenant is forever. It's commanded to 1,000 generations. So that's what you'll see here in 1 Chronicles. You'll see here in Psalm 105. It says, Be mindful always of his covenant, the word he commanded to 1,000 generations. All right? He hath remembered his covenant forever, the word he commanded to 1,000 generations. This is repeating over and over. 2 Kings 17. And the statutes and the ordinances and the law and the commandment, which he hath wrote for you, ye shall observe to do forevermore, that ye shall not fear other gods. And he hath confirmed the same to Jacob for a law, and to Israel for an everlasting covenant. So God is saying in his Torah that his covenant is forever. So how do we rectify this issue where people are saying that there's a brand new covenant, right? They'll bring up Jesus dying on the cross, that this is the testament of his blood. This is a new covenant. But the word used for new is hadashah. which is, you use the Hebrew word Kodesh, and that's the word used for a new moon or a renewed moon. It's not like the old moon is taken away and then there's a brand new moon put there. What it is there is a renewal of the moon every month. Okay? So from that same derivative comes the word used here, which is meaning repaired, restored, renewed. So it's not anything brand new. This is the problem with the translations of the Bible. The English reader doesn't know the Hebrew, and so the writers of Hebrews is playing on this ignorance, and so they're able to get away with it because for the most part, people don't know Hebrew. All right? So this is what they'll do. They'll say it's a brand new. The old one decays, the new one's coming across, and a new one has to come across. But that's what is being depicted in this book. Now, we're going to look at a couple different examples of what Jesus said on this in a couple minutes, but I want to play this clip by Jeff Morgan, and I want you to see what he's saying to this man, and then we're going to just discuss what he's saying, okay?
I explained it earlier. If you have a covenant or if with someone and it's broken, it's broken. You have to make a new one. But he also promised us a new covenant. Did you hear about that in the book of Yirmiyah and Jeremiah?
I heard just the name, nothing more.
Yeah. And so God did promise a new covenant because a lot of people ask us, well, wasn't Moses enough? Why do we need something new? But we need something new because God decided that we need something new and he was going to provide that.
I just haven't finished learning the Tanakh.
This is what I want to point out. Jeff usually commonly talks to people in the streets that don't know the Tanakh or they're brand new to it, and he'll have some success with these people. But look how this guy handles Jeff and his response with the limited knowledge that he actually has.
The Torah, like
Yeah.
I wanted to.
Well, check it out. Read the Torah. Read the Tanakh.
No, I never read that part of the Tanakh.
And if you go to Yirmiyah, the prophets, הנביאים. מה זה 31 כף א'?
No,
סליחה.
21. הנה ימים באים נאום אדוני וקראתי את בית ישראל ובית יהודה ברית חדשה, לא כברית אשר כרתתי את אבותם ביום החזקי באדם להוציאה מארץ מצרים, אשר אמר הפרו בריתי ואנוכי בעלי בעם נאום אדוני, כי זאת הברית אשר אקראת את בית ישראל. ואחרי אתה יכול פשוט להסביר לי מה כתוב פה?
כן, בעצם זה נבואה מהנביא ירמיה. It's a prophecy from the prophet Jeremiah, which talks about God promising a new covenant, ברית חדשה. And why would we need a ברית חדשה if we already have תורת משה? Why would we need a new covenant, a new ברית חדשה? למה? יש לנו ברית עם משה? יש לנו את כל התורה? את כל החוקים? 10 הדיברות וכולי, וגם, and everything that he added to it, that was added to that. Why would we need a new one, do you think?
I don't think we need a new one.
But God says so in his word. He will give a new covenant to our people. I explained it earlier. If you have a covenant or if with someone and it's broken, it's broken. You have to make a new one. You can't continue living through a broken covenant. Something has to change and something has to be made new. You know what I mean? And so if we as a people...
All right, so let's unpack this. So again, Jeff is talking to a man in Israel who doesn't really know the Tanakh very well, but he knows the fundamentals, which is this covenant is forever. So when Jeff says, why would we need a new covenant? Why would we need a new covenant? So the man doesn't know about Jeremiah 31, but he knows that the covenant is supposed to be forever. So his response to Jeff is, when he asks, hey, why would we need a new one? He says, we don't need a new one. So I love that response by him. But Jeff's whole premise is that, well, if the covenant was broken, then we have to get a new one. You can't continue living under a broken covenant. But again, he's basing that on the presumption, and he should know better. He knows Hebrew, all right? This man grew up in synagogues. He knows Hebrew, and he should know that this covenant being discussed is talking about a renewed, repaired, or restored covenant rather than a brand new one. That's not the context of what's going on here. But again, the law is forever. Jeff isn't going back to the fundamentals of the Torah, which state by God that his covenant is forever. So if God is stating that his covenant is forever, but Jeff is proclaiming through his own incorrect understanding of Jeremiah 31 that this covenant is being replaced because it says new, even though it says I will write the law on their hearts, Jeff is trying to say that there's something new. Well, this is a covenant with Jehovah, the God of Israel. Whatever covenant that Gentiles want to make with Jesus and all this stuff has nothing to do with the covenant that God made eternally for all those that keep his covenant and his commandments. Okay? But Jesus did speak about this passage. All right? If you look at Matthew 15, I'm going to show you where he's discussing. He's talking to the disciples here, and Jesus says, are you also without understanding? So this is the passage where Jesus is rebuking the Pharisees for washing their hands and things like that. They're making their own commandments and things like that, and he's rebuking them, saying, you've made the commandments of God of none effect. You're creating something of your own. Okay? So then he goes on and he says, do you not yet understand that whatsoever entereth in at the mouth goeth into the belly, and is cast out into the draught? And those things which proceed out of the mouth come forth from the heart, and they defile a man. For out of the heart proceed evil thoughts, murders, adulteries, fornications, thefts, false witness, blasphemies. These are the things that defile a man. But to eat with unwashed hands, that doesn't defile a man. So Jesus is rebuking the Pharisees because the Pharisees are trying to make their own rules and things about righteousness. Oh, let's wash our hands. This is made up by their own doing. It has nothing to do with what God is commanding. If you do what God says, you won't commit fornication, evil thoughts, adulteries, thefts, false witness, because these are all commanded against. All right, so what's Jesus saying here? He says your heart, everything proceeds from the heart. So if you have God's law on your heart, as Jeremiah chapter 31 says, it says, in those days I will write my laws in their hearts, and they will be my people, and I will be their God. This is what Jesus is deriving this from. Okay? He's saying if you take upon God's laws, not man-made laws, then righteousness will flow through you. This is what Moses told us in Deuteronomy chapter 30 when he said, these commandments are not too hard for you. All right, it's very nigh to you. It's in your mouth and in your heart that you can do it. This is what David said. David said, thy word have I hid in my heart that I might not sin against thee. So if you take upon God's laws, unlike what Christian pastors are telling you to do, they're trying to say, oh, the covenant's over, just like you saw in the beginning of this video.
The new covenant recorded. The law is done away with. Yeah.
You saw the people, the pastors at the bottom of Mount Sinai, they get all excited. Oh yeah, the law is done away with. We have a new covenant, And God's just saying, what? So that's not what God's doing. His law is forever. In Isaiah chapter 51, verse 7, God says, hearken unto me, ye that know righteousness, the people in whose heart is my law. Fear not the rebuke of men. The moth shall eat them up like a garment, but my righteousness shall be forever, and my salvation from generation to generation. What's he saying? He's saying, you guys that are keeping my laws, that are suffering reproach for it, don't even pay attention to them, because my law and my righteous law and my covenant is forever. It's from generation to generation. So the next time you're having a discussion with somebody, depending on which side you're on, like if you're a Christian and you're getting mad at the person telling you, the person that's telling you that they keep the law, and you say, well, that's the old covenant, that one's old and there's a new one. The moth will eat you up like the garment, because God's covenant and his laws will be forever. His salvation and his laws will be from generation to generation. It's not going anywhere. So don't worry about the reproach that you're facing if you are. I want you to think outside the box and get a different perspective here. The whole point of the law of God is that we're raising our consciousness. We're raising our awareness. Think about it like this. If you grow up, you're a child, and you have parents, and your parents teach you manners. They teach you how to manage your money. They teach you how to treat people, all these things, right? So based on the understanding of your parents, they'll train up the child the way they should go, right? Now, what God's trying to do with his law is he's trying to raise the vibration, he's trying to raise the awareness of a collective whole. Now, he's starting with Israel, right? So if he can get Israel to do his laws, then he can have them be lifted up, and then all the world will learn from that group of people, all right? So, for example, a higher vibrational state, a higher awareness state is, if somebody curses you, right? Your natural response as a human being is to curse them back. You want to inflict pain on somebody because they inflicted pain on you. Eye for an eye. Now, this is what Jesus was referring to about proper higher vibration, higher awareness of truth and righteousness. All right. If somebody hates you and they cast hate on you, how do you fix hate? It's like pouring gasoline on a fire. If I give hate back to someone who gives me hate, it's never going to stop. It's going to only increase. So how do I stop the hate? You give love back. Somebody asks you to run a mile with you, go with them twain. Somebody asks to take your cloak, give them your cloak and another one also. You give love back to somebody who's giving you hate, because that's going to quench the fire. This is a higher state of awareness, a higher state of frequency. And if we can get the whole world to learn that and break away from their natural inclination, which is you hurt me, therefore I'm going to hurt you, then we will all grow in consciousness as a whole. That's what the law of God's trying to do. All right. So again, this law doesn't go anywhere. We're just trying to learn how to do it, perform it. And it's not about just, oh, I kept the Sabbath, I did this, I did that. We have to really learn love. Okay. Because love, I mean, everything flows from love. If you don't have love, nothing really can get done. All right. But that's what the law of God is going to teach. It's going to teach you love for God, and it's going to teach you love for your neighbor. If you know, I just had a dog pass recently, and you know, I don't want to get choked up thinking about it, but I had that dog for 18 years. And if there's one thing that dog taught me, is it's unconditional love. And you know, no matter what was going on, that dog just wanted to be next to me. That dog ran up to me. He wanted to be in, you know, he just wanted to be around me. And it didn't matter if I had a bad day and I got mad at him because he, you know, pottied or had an accident or something like that. He was in the moment. And we can learn things from these animals. We can look, if you look around anywhere, you can see wisdom and understanding all over the place. You just have to really be open to just taking a look and understanding and taking things in, you know. But I don't want to go off on a tangent there. But the whole idea is that this law that people say is done away with, that it's old, that it's past, it's not true. God says his law is forever. It's eternal. This time around, instead of writing it on a table of stones, he's going to internalize it. And we're already seeing it. Okay, that's why I brought up what Jesus was stating there, because collectively as a whole, people are now starting to wake up. People are keeping the Torah, keeping the law more than ever. 10 years ago, when I came out of Christianity, I started keeping the Torah. Moses started learning it, applying it, and things like that. Nobody was really doing it. I had a couple people that I knew about. Now you have Facebook groups that are 2, 3, 4, 5, 10,000 people in it, and Noahide movements, which I'll make a video on in the future. I'm not a fan of the Noahide movement, but it's a step in the right direction. People are waking up. And, you know, if God says his law and his covenant is forever, it's forever. He can't go back in Jeremiah and then say, oh, I'm going to get rid of that and do a new one. And when in the new one, he says, every man shall die for their own sins, and I will put my law in their hearts, and they shall walk in my law and keep my statutes. It doesn't make any sense. So this new covenant idea that the old law and all this stuff has gone away with, it's nonsense. All right? It's a renewed, restored, etc. All right? We're just going to try to learn how to walk in it appropriately. It's going to be like second nature to us on the earth. We're going to internalize it. Okay? And in turn, we're going to take Israel, who does the commandments and does the law of God, and they're going to teach the rest of the world how to do it. That's what Isaiah chapter 2 is stating. It says, many people shall go up to the Lord and say, we will walk in his laws. We will keep his commandments. We're going to walk in his ways. The whole world will walk in this law. So how can the whole world one day walk in his laws and his eternal covenant when it's gotten rid of? Doesn't make any sense, guys. So again, I hope this video is a help. If you got any questions, leave them below, and I'll talk to you again in another video.
Shadows start to fade as the truth comes in sight. On the fourth day, he said, let there be light. Let there be light.